nowhere else on earth.
Oh boy, it makes Nigeria truly special. According to the World Resources Institute, Nigeria is home to 4,715 different types of plant species and ovies of breeding and mammals, one of the most ecological vibrancies on the earth planet. Put it there.
All right, the Yoruba tribe has the highest rate of twin birth in the world. Ibo Ora, a little town in Oyo State, has been nicknamed twin capital of the world because of its unusually high rate of twins that is put as high as 158 twins per 1,000 births.
Oh boy. Now, if you want twins, you know where to go. All right, the Niger Delta, which is the second largest delta on the typic fish in the world. Oh boy, that's good news.
Okay. And it's also home to 60% of Nigeria's mangrove forests. Did you forget that part?
No, it sounded nice you saying it.
Oh, really? You should know too that Nigeria's mangrove forests are the largest in Africa and third largest on Earth.
Oh boy, Nigeria is super special. Let's get to know the big continent called Africa.
At least 40 people killed in an ethnic fighting between Hima and Lendu communities in the Republic of Congo on the 14th March 2018.
Sad story there, but Africa's northern region is dominated in sports by Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco.
Mohamed Salah is the first African player to score 30-plus goals in a single season in the history of the English Premier League.
Yeah, that tells you he's now larger than Didier Drogba. All right, let's say that the shortest distance between Africa and Europe is only 8.9 miles, talking about 14.3 kilometers of ocean.
Start swimming. Tanzania, Africa, has the world's highest albinism rate. In the country, albino are hunted by the witch doctors who use their organs for rituals believed to heal diseases.
All right, now you know. All right, it's time for us to go for the real flip and flop. So, which former French president is facing trial for alleged corruption while in power and had a link with Gavi?
Sarkozy.
Yeah, that's because you're taking the next one.
North and South Korean leaders have agreed a summit for April-2018.
How am I supposed to know? I'm not from North Korea, I'm not from South.
But
my crystal ball, I think it's the 28th. Yeah, 28th of April 2018 is the expected date summit. The North and South Korean leaders. Okay, the next one, Yemen Central Bank
is that not my
fully stopped. I'm asking the question. We'd like to know when the Yemen Central Bank fully stopped working due to lack of funds. In what year and in what month? I'm making it real difficult for you.
This year.
This year is what year? 2016?
Is this 2016? No, 2019. This year, third month.
Okay, that's March.
And
what day?
On your birthday.
Okay, it's the 20th March 2018. How come you're getting it all right this morning? What's happening? Okay, let's go to last one. Trump to...
It's my question.
Oh boy.
Hold on. Trump to announce...
that one.
Trump to announce trade sanctions on which country in Asia and what year? It's very simple. We talked about it.
All right, no, that country but China and definitely 2018.
You see that?
All right, so that's how we call it a wrap on that very interesting segment. We'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, we start discuss on the very interesting topic for today. We're looking at the issue concerning probing T.Y. Danjima's comment about the military and for Sekin Mantu's compelling confession of having taken part in election rigging.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. All-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Edges Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accrual to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents want to control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Alright, welcome back from that quick break. If you're just joining us, you're watching Africa's finest breakfast show, Daybreak Nigeria, on television Nigeria. My name is Anthony Momodu, still here with my co-host, Cynthia Akbo. But it's time for us to shift gear into the discourse. We're looking at probing Danjuma's comment and forsaking Mantu's compelling confession of having been taking part in election rigging. And we have as our guest here, Comrade Opanachi Jacob, who will help us look into the issue. Recently, we had Ibrahim Mantu come out to tell Nigerians that he had taken part in rigging in past elections, and also we had T.Y. Danjuma, ex-Minister of Defense, come out to accuse the Nigerian army of colluding with the headsmen to carry out these killings, and these have generated a lot of issues. But funny enough, the army has decided to probe Danjuma's comments, but everyone seems silent on Mantu's confession. Is that the right way to go to protect and grow our democracy?
Well, in the first place, democracy is supposed to be an evolving affair of the people. But you see, we have found ourselves where we are today because of so many ills that came with democracy. What are the ills that came with it? At the inception in 1999, the belief in the transition was low because the citizens were just coming from a background of military system that ran the country for over 30 years. And if you look at it, that brought a lot of people into politics as at that point. And with such people flooding political landscape of Nigeria, get a good foundation for a democratic structure would have been a big problem. Why am I saying this? If somebody that rose to the rank of Deputy Senate President of this country who makes such harsh statement, well, I think the proper thing should be done. And what is the proper thing? Rigging is a crime. I mean, it's against our electoral laws. And if it is so, I think the necessary, the bodies that are responsible are supposed to move into action to probe further. How did you do it? Because I heard him on the TV when he made that statement. And he reiterated so many times, although at the end of the statement he said that he is speaking as a repentant. This is not enough. Because here is a man that lost elections successively after so many attempts to somebody major, And if you look at it, if he had the political strength to be a rigging machine for the party he so said, why was he losing most of his elections? If he had that capacity, why was he looking? That's the other side of what I discussed here. Or should take his source on him, call him to order and ask him, how did he do it? Because he mentioned that the money, the pattern that the money should be shared, when he talked about the money should be given to the boys on the field, the INEC boys, it brings us to a very clumsy...
Could we say because INEC is trying to protect herself and her entity, that's why we would want to push for a probe into his comments?
Well, it is too early for now to adduce any reason for INEC's not having said anything. Okay. Maybe they are having their own internal thing, but if they do not say anything, I think it goes far to say a lot than we can hear.
Okay, now it's looking right now. Yeah. It seems like we in Nigeria, our system, do not take things like this seriously. Yes. Because there is no reason why someone who agreed on public national TV saying that he was involved, like he doesn't, and he went further to say that he doesn't have to be on the field, he just have to use his money, and he listed all the ways to do it. Now, is there any moral justification for him to still be working freely?
None at all.
And then why is his case different from the man who is being probed for talking about collusion in the military?
You see, there's something here we should understand. I think the Mantu case is a great disappointment to we Nigerians. But unfortunately, just like you said, things happen differently in Nigeria. Here we have an economy that the president put in his mouth to tell us that he sent the IG to Benue, and the IG ended up in Nasarawa State, and nothing is done till now. The man is still an IG. I know of a police head in Kenya sometimes ago that had a mistake and people died because of that mistake. He resigned. In this case, the president himself has said that my IG refused to go to where I sent him and nothing has happened. So you see, let's tilt a little bit to the Danjuma issue in comparison to this. You see, I laugh at people when they try to talk about Danjuma's statement. In-depth statement like that. In the case of Benue, the general came out and said, if the Benue people, if government does not do anything, and the Benue people form an army, they were ready to lead the army. That's the general speaking. And you see, when we watch all these things peels apart successively, we do not stem it at the board, we're going to have a large ball of issue that will not be able to come with. What am I trying to talk about here? T.Y. Danjuma is a respected statesman. He's not somebody that says word at all times. So when he says word, I think we should hold him for his word. And the statement, I listened to him. He said this 3 times. The army collude
With the head.
the army collude with the headsman 3 times. It means he had his source. He had reason to make such statement. But I as a man being a judge in his own case, everybody is applauding the army. Army has no business trying to probe that statement. There should be an independent probe to that statement. And I believe T.Y. Danjuma had a great source, because even the Akoka of Wukari, I think he is the head of all Kwarafa. You know, Kwarafa is an entity in Nigeria. You understand? He came out to say that yes, truly the army are insensitive to them. And if nothing is done, there will be another attack. I read it on the newspapers, and not too long, such things happened. So the way our security system is going, it calls for further probe, truly. Look at the insensitive killing all over the states that are happening. Kogi, Benue. As I'm talking to you, they killed people in Benue, they killed people in Taraba. And we have a government in place. I mean, this is not a foreign idea to the current government. They should have done something long ago, because I remember vividly in the president's inaugural speech on May 29, 2015, that he said something in a paragraph that Boko Haram is not the only issue we are dealing with. He mentioned was farmers' herdsman clash, which means it was at the board then. You had 3 years and nothing is done till now. It has escalated, and everybody, they are encroaching. I tell you, what they are doing, to me, truly is an ethnic cleansing. For example, in Oganenigbo in Kogi State, where they attacked last in Kogi State the other time, long before now, the Fulani have been occupying that community. They chased the people away, and they are living there, operating with impunity, take over people's farm. And you see, one danger to this, if we do not arrest it, is that we're going to run into food insecurity. Apart from national insecurity that we're facing now, there's going to be food insecurity. Why do I say this? The Middle Belt region of Nigeria is known for food production. They serve as a support base for both the north and the southern Nigeria. And that is why I think they are north central. They are south of the north and north of the south. So if this is so, and there's a continuous ineptitude from government in trying to stem the incessant insecurity, I think T.Y. Danjuma is never wrong to have asked his people to defend themselves. After all, we have civilian JTF who ordered them into existence. Necessity.
All right, you made mention of the fact that you think this probe should have an independent probe, not the Nigerian army. Mm-hmm. If that's not the case, what will be your expectations from the probe that the army has decided to go into?
Well, you see, the army have decided, well, I try to applaud them to, and try to accept that, okay, there is need for us to probe into what has been said. Okay. And it's good that they are doing that, but it shouldn't be the main government's inaction on that issue. Okay. Because if you look at it, it's just like being a judge in your own case. And you see, the problem we have is just like Martin Luther King Jr. would say. He said, peace is not the absence of war, but the presence of justice. Until justice is brought to the Nigerian people, we will continue to entertain this kind of little problems up and down. As it is now, within the regions that these things are happening, they've lost hope in governance. In the current government, I'm telling you, Nigerians have lost hope in terms of security. You can't say you've defeated Boko Haram when there is insecurity in another part of the country. What's lost in it is what you are getting in Paul here.
All right, let's look forward. Just recently, yesterday, we had the National Assembly, the Senate, call on Mr. President to, as a matter of urgency, sack the security chiefs in the country if they cannot stop the killings going on. Do you think the Assembly and the executive, their call is going to be heeded too? Well,
it is hard to say for now, but however, that call is not wrong. If you look at it, there's a whole lot of insecurity. If Nigeria is more divided along both political ethnic, social, and religious line than ever before now.
What would you say is responsible for that?
Because of government's initiative. Government is not proactive in terms of its what's it called. We are blaming everything on past government. You see, when some of us were trying to support this government at the initial stage, we saw a redeemer, we saw a messiah, we saw somebody that on hitting the ground he will come running. But eventually, here we have even the corruption we say we are going to fight that took over every event. The number 3 or number 4 man that was selected after a long time by the president was caught up in grass. So you have a whole lot of, if you look at the whole system, it looks as if the whole Nigeria is just at a moribund stage. Nothing is moving forward, and it's like the current government lack the political and economic intelligence to run the system. It is obvious. It is obvious. If you look at it, you can't tell me that we have a government in place who have claimed to have defeated Boko Haram. At a later time, they turn back to let us know that they are looking for loan to defeat Boko Haram. What you have defeated, why are you trying to defeat them anymore? There are so many lapses available. Look at the Dapchi girl abduction. It is never supposed to have happened in any case, because in Yobe State.
Did you think it was a conspiracy? So
well,
people said the
it
was using it to score a point.
Well, I don't think this is. It looks it. But eventually, if you even look at it, whether it is a conspiracy, it is a poor one. If it is spontaneous, it is still poor on the government not to even have allowed it to happen. Why did I say this? Look at the events that have chronicled in the Northeast. It is bad that we forget too much on time that Yobe State was where the Buniyadi boys were killed in cold blood. And the government have instituted what we call Safe School Initiative. It was a Safe School Initiative, and this current government have not instituted any new thing that we can see, and have not completed any new thing that we can see, and have agreed that they are going to follow up on things that have been in existence. I don't think, if anywhere, not even in Yobe State anymore. Because there was an incident that have shown that the schools in Yobe are on target. After Chibok girl, before Chibok was when the Buniyadi case happened long ago. Yet, they took children out of school in Nigeria, where we have Nigerian army on ground. And eventually, the army even agreed that they withdrew their troops.
Yes.
So, if you look at it, it is the conspiracy theory is not too far-fetched.
Okay, just recently the president was speaking with authorities in London, and he was speaking with Theresa, and he said his interest is on security, and he's not even thinking about the 2019 right now. Now, given the time that we have for 2019, do you think that the president can be able to tackle the issue of security?
You see, that's a political statement to me. Why did I say it's a political statement? Here is a man that could not even wait to go to see Theresa May and come back before he declared that he's going to run for 2019. And you are telling us over there that you are not interested in 2019. Well, then why did you declare? This is the first time any president, I think, would declare long before elections. I think the period is too far away from election that he had declared. In the past, I know President 6 months, 7 months, but we are too far away from election for you to declare. And you are telling us that you are not interested in 2019. If you are interested in security, be proactive about the security. Let's see it. Let it be visible. You are proactive about security, and while you are even saying people are dying here.
Do you think that the president at this point has the moral standing for Nigerians, for us to believe his words? Because on 3 occasions, if we can count, first in 2015 when he said he wasn't going to go for second term. Secondly, he talked about him being a security conscious and he taking care of security. Now, do you think that we, at this point, now given that he has, will I call it, lied to us or deceived us, said things that are actually not true to us 3 times?
You see, the problem is, I have a problem with the kind of followership he has. And that's according to Reverend Martin Kukai in one of the documentary I read, calls that sect of followership Buhari-philic or Buhari-philia. You see, you cannot continue to condone something that has failed. The first error I saw in his statement that he wants to run is that Nigerians are calling him from what quarter? people that are hungry, people that are dying on a daily basis. You wake up in Benue State, you are not sure to go to the farm and come back alive. You wake up in Plateau State, you are not sure to go to your farm and come back alive. You wake up in Taraba State, you are not sure to go to your farm and come back alive. You wake up in the morning and you see people running into your community and shooting and killing and maiming little children in a gruesome manner. And we have a president that says he wants to run for 2019, and he is aware of this. Who is calling you from where? Who is calling you? If you look at the economy today, yes, they are boasting of so many things that the economy is rapidly growing, but I say at a negative pace. At a negative pace, if I don't have to give you a list of the difference between prices of things before now. Everybody goes to the market and everybody hears the shout that comes from people. And all these things are not connected to form the policies that will run the system. I don't know how they intend to perform a magic that can turn the things that are happening around, except there is peace, real peace, which is justice. I think we still have a long way to go in this case.
My final question before we wrap up our discourse has to be, what will be your expectations as regards this probe at the end of the day? And do you think the federal government would want to act on it? And if it's on the negative, do you see Danjuma being held behind bars?
Well, it would be fun to hold a man for saying things that are empirically true. Empirically true because it is obvious. The communities are coming out to tell you that if you don't do this, these things are still going to happen. It means there is a grand conspiracy that has been visible to the people of Taraba State. That is why one of their sons, one of their illustrious sons that could speak for his people, rose to speak for his people. And if you look at it, it is happening all over. The Nigerian military does not have a head count, or rather the manpower to man the security situation in Nigeria. Of course, it is even abhorrent to have the army undertaking exercises of protecting citizens within the country. They are defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria. But when it has escalated to this point that army start policing the system, it means it has degenerated to the worst. And yet, it is not well done. So, I think for anybody to say it's going to hold T.Y. Danjuma is calling for Nigerians to rise against the system. Because that is the motto of every Nigerian. You can't help see me sit down and watch somebody come to kill me, and I'll fold my hand like a frozen chicken. Then they'll come and dagger me to death. I gave an example initially. Why didn't they go to arrest civilian GTF in the Northeast? And Nigerians who have to even commend them. The civilian JTF took the bull by the horn and they contributed a lot to the decimating of the Boko Haram sect. Because it is a local initiative. These people know the route. If the government is not protecting you and herdsmen run into your community and kill your people anyhow, you sit down here. Of course, even the Benue State government have come out to tell his people to take stones and defend themselves. And naturally, people should defend themselves. And constitutionally, there's room for self-defense. So, I don't think T.Y. Danjuma has done any wrong to be crucified. It's just that he has reiterated a statement that has been made so many times, and from him being a prominent person, it becomes a question. But unfortunately, they waited for people like T.Y. Danjuma to say it before they should know and even attempt to prove that the army is already compromising on the grounds of internal security.
Let's just flash quickly on this recent $426 billion that was approved and released for purchase of helicopters without the approval of the National Assembly. Do you think these service chiefs will want to go now until this $1 billion is well spent by them?
Well, it's unfortunate that such things are happening. It shows that there's a total disregard for the
due process.
Why am I saying this? Those days, if it were under Jonathan's government that this happened, hell would have been raised. Here we have somebody that, a system that claims to be dealing with corruption, and we short process. Shorting of process is corruption too. Nepotism is corruption too. It's just that unfortunately Nigerian sees people when they steal money alone that they call it corruption. It goes beyond that. It's beyond stealing money when things are not orderly. And I can assure you that the things that are happening now is beyond the current government's comprehension. If they have the wherewithal to deal with it, they should have. If not, I don't see any reason why you have approved money that did not go through the Senate. In the first place, the president let loose the ends that brought the Senate president. He was asked to partake in the process. He said no. And the Senate president, so you can't say it's a fight back in any way. The Senate the Senate is doing their work. And it's unfortunate that we have a military that is so slow at, or not being proactive at, national issue. It has now started getting proof to the people that our security is not for the people. If in Benue, in Plateau State the other time, the citizens cried out that the military was in support of the insurgents that came. So it is it's becoming a national scale crisis that should be managed now. If not, we are getting far apart.
All right, on that note, we'll be calling a wrap. I want to say big thank you to Comrade Panati Jacob for helping us look into this discourse, talking about the comment, and also for taking this compelling confession of having taken part in election rigging. I want to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, Daybreak Nigeria continues.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. All-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipeline water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about our change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria. Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents want to control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
All right, welcome back from that break. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Daybreak Nigeria on television. Nigeria. We're still looking at the issue of probing Danjuma's comment and also the fact that nobody's talking about Ibrahim Mantu's confession having taken part in rigging. We have the national chairman of the Young Democratic Party in the person of Aye Georgina Dapopo right here in the studios with us to look at it from the political party's point of view. Nice to have you join us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. A lot of critics have asked why political parties in Nigeria, especially the new and young ones like yours, have not raised the issue as regards Mantu's confession. Is that to say that political parties in Nigeria are comfortable with the fact that rigging is part of the game?
Absolutely not. We're not comfortable with it. And what Mantu said is something it's nothing new.
Okay.
I mean, I think most Nigerians know this has been the case. And I think largely why we haven't said anything about it because, the meetings we have quarterly meetings with the INEC chairman.
Okay.
And he has made it clear from the meetings, he has laid out plans that the INEC has for the 2019 general elections. And largely, from what we can see, what he has told us, rigging is going to be minimized in the 2019 general elections.
Okay.
But that is not to say that there won't be,
some pockets?
Yeah, not pockets of rigging per se, but there won't be another form of rigging.
Okay.
In that you're going to be probably giving people money for votes.
Okay.
That's something the INEC chairman has talked about, and even political parties have talked about. YDP has talked about it over and over again. And we have tried to educate the Nigerian people on the essence of not selling their votes for pittance. So it's what he said is tackling that some of his own cadre could come out and say it on national TV. But it's something that we know has always been there. It's nothing strange to the system.
All right. Would you be would you be expecting him, the federal government, the relevant agencies, that they should have swooped on him, probably get him arrested or get him, get to probe him or call him for questioning, since what he's saying it's quite damaging to Nigeria's electoral process?
Ordinarily, yes, they should. But then again, INEC chairman has constantly called. I'm not trying to make a case for him, but because right. I'm on the inside, I have some idea. He has constantly called for the unbundling of INEC, in that INEC should be broken into different departments. He has said, for instance, that they don't have the facility to enforce the laws. They don't have the power to enforce the laws. So these things have to be broken into compartments. Right now, INEC is concerned with the 2019 general elections. They may not have the time or the ability to look at that task right now, but ordinarily it should be something that should be pursued legally.
Okay, while you were speaking, you mentioned something like the INEC chairman has said that it won't be like before. The rigging will be minimized, but the rigging will be there.
He didn't say it will be there. That's
it will be minimized.
Yes.
Yeah, minimizing, that means like low proportion
He has said there will be no rigging. Those were his words. He didn't say it outrightly, but he has shown us plans and he has for the 2019 election. And my assumption from that is that rigging may be minimized. There's always a human factor. We cannot rule it out completely. For instance, we have the issue of we don't have a we have thousands of PVCs uncollected.
About 8 million.
Now we have some. There will always be some. You just had 12 disciples, and one was Victoria. So there's be some elements, whether in the electoral process, politicians, we cannot rule that out completely. But by the things that INEC has put in place for the 2019 during elections is going to really help foster the democratic process. For instance, they're going to have color-coded ballot papers, local government by local government. So there's no matter of snatching from local ward A to ward B. It's not going to make any sense because they can't count it in that ward or in that local government. So it's a whole lot of work, a whole lot of effort to put into it, and we're just praying that the human factor, the Nigerian factor, doesn't come in and make rubbish of the whole thing.
Okay, you talked about money also, trying to educate these voters that don't sell your vote, don't do this for a tiny amount of money. But looking at the situation in the country, looking at the level of hunger, poverty, around, will someone not think it wise and say, okay, they're just talking to themselves, I can get 10,000 naira at least to help me for that week or that day.
Yeah.
So how do you intend to make these people understand? Because it's not about talking alone. How do you need to understand that, okay, no matter what, do not sell your vote? Because there's already a mindset in the average Nigerian that their vote don't count.
Yeah.
So how do you intend to go about that?
We're not unaware of this challenge because we had a training sometime in January, political party. You are able to sell this to someone that hasn't probably spent his life, he hasn't seen 5,000 as an amount, and the person comes and gives to him. How are you going to say no? And it's something that's there, and we thought about. And there was a story that came up, and the person said, when you're talking to the citizens, bring it down to their level. For instance, to give an illustration of, you go to a community and you ask them what is the thing you need most in this community, and they say, for instance, health center. And then you ask them, how much do you think it's going to cost to build your one health center? Maybe 15 million from foundation. The one that is not padded is more than 15 million naira. That brings his hope to that man, and he realizes that, so I've been giving out my health center, as it were, to these politicians. It's a long. Our democracy is still young, and it's going to be a process, but we're getting there. The Nigerian man, for instance, now, every Nigerian man in the urban area wants to go out now and get his PVC. Before now, that it's them. Nobody cared, but now everybody is struggling to get that PVC. They want to be involved in the system. And then in the rural areas, you have some young people that feel they're already agitating. They don't want these people to come back. They want something different. They want to be part of the process as well. So it's not going to be as easy as it was, but that is not to say, let's be realistic. That's not to say that it's not still be there.
Okay, you mentioned two things, talking about selling that particular story. Okay, I'm just trying to think it from an average Nigerian. That story cannot buy me, cannot make me feel that there's a need for me to go and vote this particular person that you're selling to me. Okay, so
I'm not selling anybody to you. I'm telling you that don't sell your vote, because when you do that, you're actually selling your health center that you need for your community.
Yes, you are selling your health center, but the man there in the village or the man in that community, he will tell you, what if he tells you, what I did see now, but that possibility I never see, or I just didn't imagine? Because that is just the mindset. That's the mindset. What I am seeing now is better off than what I'm not even sure that I'm going to see. Because we've had several cases of people come like that and give these stories, give this illustration, but at the end of the day, some don't even live in that community. You don't even get to see them until another 4 years.
That's what voters' education is. There's a saying that repetition is the law of deep and lasting impression. You're just going to keep on saying it. That one person says no doesn't mean that the other person is going to say no as well. It's like I said, a tedious process. It's a long process. It's a process. It's not going to be an overnight thing. You can win some, you can win some, but that won't stop us from taking that message to the people that you shouldn't sell your votes. Because they know, when we talk with them, when we engage with them, they're like, okay, this person is coming. He's giving me what is mine. Now, I'm not going to see him for the next 4 years. But we're teaching them that as a citizen, as a member of the electorate, you have a right to ask this person to come down to the community. You have to engage leadership. Leadership is not rulership, it is service. That's what we're teaching people, that's what we're taking to the people, that's the message of YDP to the people.
Okay, so
okay, sorry. I would just like to know, going back to the issue of the probing of Mantu, sorry, Danjuma's comment and not paying attention to Mantu's comment. What would be your suggestion, or what would be your expectations for the probe? What would you expect as a probe? What areas would you expect them to be looking at? And for Mantu, would you expect his own probe to also come in due time?
Okay, let me start with Mantu's probe.
Okay.
If you're going to probe Mantu, it's not just Mantu. I mean the old school. That was the order. That was what they were doing. It was normal. It was what they were used to. So if you're going to probe Mantu, he has come out to say it. And well, if he's probed, he could say that. I mean, you can always say mercy. Okay. But if you're going to probe Mantu, you're going to probe the entire generation of politicians, and it's something that I think we should do. We have got to clean up the system. That's why I support one of the movements that has given red card to some of the political parties, because an ideal situation for Nigeria come 2019 will be people that have never tasted power, have not been around the corridors of power, because they have tasted it, they used to that old order, and they're not going to bring anything different than what we're experiencing. So there's a need for us to change that. And therefore, T.Y. Danjuma's probe statement. Again, I pray there's a Nigerian factor on it. Okay. Just polish, bring out a statement. His statements raise great concern. And I had a meeting with some of these people, I mean, the victims. Okay. And actually what he said was buttressed there. That was long before he said it. That was sometime last year, actually. Okay. I think middle of last year. And he said that in the community, they have army in the community. And the army man says, I don't have order to engage these people. We have been attacked that way, and you don't have orders to engage them. That is a tacit approval of what the headsmen are doing. So we expect a very, very balanced probe, looking at all areas, not to cover up anything, because that is a very, 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 very critical and very important statement that he made. It's very indicting, and the army should do what needs to be done. The probe should address all that. If some heads have to roll in the army, it has to be done. The system has to be cleaned up. I remember I said when there was talk about, there should be grazing field and all that, okay. I said that I issued a statement that it's not about grazing, having colonies or grazing fields. Why don't you address the cause of this crisis? Assuage the families, they're hurt, they're grieving, and then talk to the headsmen. And then let them talk and let them reach a compromise. Like what happened in Rwanda, the communities healed themselves. The victims talked to the attackers and vice versa. So it should be the same thing with the headsmen, the clan, and the farmers. So it's not just about imposing a solution on them.
All right, just to wrap our discourse up, looking at for political parties, the fact that Mantu has made that statement, are there issues that will be looked at as a way to probably avoid this rigging of anything based on what he has said? Does that put every old political party into scrutiny as comparison to the new political parties?
All political parties are set in their ways.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why YDP was founded.
Okay.
Because we wanted to get into the system, but there was no space for us, so we had to start our own thing. The old people have set in their ways. They're not going to pull up any new tricks. That's how they know how to operate. I mean, the last big party that had a convention, they did the same at that convention. So what, they're going to bring it into the system. That's what they know how to do. You understand? And then for the younger ones, it's worrisome for me, because when you come and try and change the system and you see this endemic, this is what they're used to. It's either you hold on to what you believe in, or if you can't beat them, join them. So there's a need for even INED, and as much as possible, the participants in the political process, to try and not let this happen. Because we need to grow our democracy, not just for our own personal gain, but for our children, for Nigeria's tomorrow. So it's not just, oh, I must be in power. It's beyond getting power. It's about building a process that will benefit even you in the long run and your children in the long run. That's why I think we should do it in 2019.
All right. I wanted to ask earlier on, don't you think the reason why we have high rate of collection of PVCs is because almost everything you do these days, they will ask for your PVC, not necessarily because people want to vote. If you want to go to the bank, you need your PVC. You want to go to you want to do your anything you want to do this
As an ID.
As an ID. So don't you think that is the reason why people are collecting their PVCs?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. Nigerians have become more political aware than they were in 2015. You know what 2015 did? There was a large cry for the government that we have today to come on stage, because the propaganda they had had against the past presidents. People wanted a change. They wanted something different. And what happened in 2015, where an incumbent lost an election, made it clear that voters could change the course. So that has also encouraged other people to think, okay, if this is possible, let me be involved in the system. Let my voice, let me have my say, let my voice be relevant. So it's not because of the ID thing. You have the national ID cards, you have the national passport, you have the driver's license as ID. But people want to be a part of this. They want to be a part of, they want to put a voice, have a say in the process. That's why there's this new call or awareness for PVCs.
Right, let's just wrap the discourse with your last comment on what areas you think should be focused on key indices in doing this poll.
That's for TY Nigeria. Address is an understatement. He's been in the trenches, Nigerian trenches, for a long time. And I don't think someone like that issues a statement should be taken lightly.
Okay.
And such an indicting statement against his own primary constituency, the military, shouldn't be taken lightly. So a probe should actually address that. He's not a frivolous person.
Okay.
So they should painstakingly investigate and find out if what he's saying is true. And we should have a balanced, it shouldn't be a cover-up. It shouldn't be a cover-up and say, okay, let's try and cover our own people. Let's not disgrace the military, let's not disgrace T.Y. Danjuma, or let it be clean, justice, and there should be equity in the province.
All right, well, it's a big thank you to the chairman of the YDP, the Young Democratic Party, Georgina Dapopo, who has helped us look into this very interesting discourse, talking about probing Danjuma's comments and not actually forsaking Matthew's compelling confession of having taken part in election rigging. I want to say thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'll be going for another quick break. When we come back, we'll be taking our last guest, who is Mr. Elvis Obaseki, who will be here to discuss this same issue, but looking at it from a different point of view.
and library. Curriculum for total health. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have party under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State.
All right, we'll come back from that quick break. We're reaching almost the end point of the breakfast show, but we're still going to be discussing something very excellent. We're looking at the recent summon by the National Assembly of the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, and also talking about the summoning of the Minister of Finance, talking about Kemi Odiosho, and the Minister of Defense, Ali Danmaso, as regards the release of $462 million for the purchase of helicopters from 2 U.S. firms without approval from the National Assembly. And we have right here with us Elvis Obaseki, who will be gunning for the Edo State House of Assembly in no distant time. Good morning, nice to have you join us in the studios. Well, thank you. All right, let's look at the recent issue. We've been having a rift between the National Assembly and the executive, but just yesterday we had the National Assembly summoning these three personalities over the approval, the release and purchase of helicopters without the approval of the National Assembly. How do you see this going? First of all, do you think the summon would be adhered to?
Sincerely, I want to say, in the last 3 years of our democracy, the executive arm of government has done practically everything to undermine the legislature. It is clear that the parliamentary responsibility or the constitutional responsibility of the parliament is first appropriation and lawmaking. How can you spend monies that have not been appropriated? If the National Assembly did not appropriate and money was released by any person, it is automatically a criminal and a fraudulent act. No matter how sweet, no matter how good, no matter how interested we are in Nigeria to curb the insecurity, due process must still be followed. $462 million in the present time is no small money. And you're even talking about it in an electoral year. it becomes circumspect. At least you're releasing almost $500 million. The National Assembly is now aware. Then who prepared and how did you go through the process of the procurement? And I will tell you, Nigerians will have a way of making noise over little issues and with the big ones. Before you know it, with this scandal that has come up, in another week or two, something else will come up and this one will go on the ground. It's been like that in the last 36 months. That's what we've been going through in this country. I don't see why the CBN governor will release funds without getting the backing of the National Assembly. And who even approved? If the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria knows that power belongs to the people, and the National Assembly is the representation of the people, he should take it. He could just, the APC is still the majority and the government in power. In the caucus of the APC, issues of this nature can be discussed, approval gotten. You just come to the House and you give it the toggle of official, or at least making it official. But you know that you have done the homework behind. But if you notice what we've been saying in Nigeria since this present government came in, it's as if the presidency belongs to another party, and as if the leadership of the National Assembly belongs to another party, then the PDP is another party. Because you can't tell me this has never happened in this country. You might talk about, okay, we'll talk about anti-corruption, we'll talk about one or two things don't be done well, but not for you to go into the till $462 million. By the time another government comes in, you will now begin to hear of how many billions that came out of this. Should heads roll? Nigeria, heads never roll because we politicize everything. I will tell you, even those that know within the APC that this is wrong, they won't stand on the side of truth. To call a spade a spade. And if you mistakenly criticize this, they'll come at you with mundane, infinitesimal things that are completely far from the issue on the table. That's what we've been having. You talked about a general, there are 4 generals that this country I would say, I don't know how to put it, there are 4 generals that really matter to the history of this country. There are 5, one is in power now. The other 4, we know that one of those other 4 never talks. As a good, I don't want to call him. One of the 4 never talks. Okay. But the other 3 are known to talk and act. And they've all written. They've all spoken. But instead of us to look at the message, the present government and goons, all they now went after is the past, not even the messenger, the past life of the messenger, living completely the message. It's never rolled in this country.
Okay, just recently, the president approved $1 billion for security.
$1 billion.
$1 billion, sorry, for security. And now again, we are seeing that $462 billion was approved by the 3, now 4 helicopter. Now, I'm trying to look at the connection. This helicopter, what are they for? Is not also for security reasons, or is it for something else?
No, there's something we must not take away from the fight against insurgency. Okay. We should join hands with government to make sure that Nigeria becomes a safer country for us all. Because war has no friend. War has no brother. A bullet never picks, this bullet is for you and this bullet is for. I am fully in support of the of the security plans that the government of Nigeria today has in place. But due process still has to be followed. First of all, the $1 billion that was approved by the president. You don't take approval matters to neck. It is not the governors that have right to approve. Even the governors can't approve in his own state. He has to go back to the state House of Assembly. The president knew, and whoever is managing that aspect of the president should know that it was a wrong act. The National Assembly has right to appropriate, and the president can go back to the National Assembly via supplementary budget to ask for this. It's allowed. But for you to sit with the 36 governors in Nigeria and you not take over the role of the National Assembly, it's wrong.
Can we say it's because of 2019 general elections that was done, and what should be the way forward?
If we say it's because of 2019, it is neither here nor there. But the truth of the matter is that we have an over-monetized political atmosphere. You cannot do politics in Nigeria. You cannot be actively participatory in the Nigerian political system without money. And we know we are heading into a presidential election when the rating, the opinion polls, or the rating for the president has nosedived. I will tell you, the present government, for they to get into the election of next year, they're going to spend more than they spent in 2015.
Why is that?
Oh, you're asking that question, and that means you're not being, you've divorced yourself from the sufferings of the or the masses
I'm
of the
just
street.
trying to be objective, because someone out there might not just know the reason why.
As at 2014, 2015,
Okay.
3 sets of people went to the polls. Those, the first set were those that believed in PDP and believed in Jonathan and supporters of the PDP. The second set was those that believed in the APC, supporters of Buhari, and the APC members. While the third set were those that were fed up with what they felt was misgovernance as at that time. With the third group were not partisan. The third group were not APC, they were not PDP. They were just fed up. And you know what the media had? That's why when I see Jide Sowore coming up on Sahara Reporters, that was a tool that was used to tell Nigerians that this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And we're in a very informative country. If you drive past some bus stations, you see, from some bus stops, you see a colony of jobless Nigerians analyzing how this country is, and that is the rumor mill. Information that comes out from such gatherings, you can never pursue it once it is wrong. These same 3 sets of people went to the polls and picked a president that we thought would be an angel. And lo and behold, it is not what everybody asked for. So the third group, I'm not talking about the PDP, I'm not talking about the APC and their supporters. The third group that wanted a better life.
So like the third force indirectly?
Not the third force.
Okay.
I still think that the third force is a spoiler.
It's a spoiler?
Yeah.
On whose part would it be the spoiler?
On the part of the third group. Because when the third force divides what would have gone to A or B, the A you want to get out will not end up having more than the B that you are not supporting. I still go back to what Babangida wanted to do in 1991 when he talked about the 2 options. Either you're here, SDP or NRC. I still feel that is what the Americans are operating. If you are not a conservative, you are a progressive. Keep this always way. At least you have, at the end of 4 years, change. That's why in America, the change of government, the change of power moving from the president's party to the other party is not an issue that they celebrate, because it happens every day. But when the ruling party lost in 2015, it was as if the world was coming to an end in Nigeria. At least I remember my party saying then that 60 years, that was an arrogant statement. That you'll be in government for 60 years. So when they got to 16 years, where are we now? And I think the present government is making that same mistake. We have a non-management of the information system. Nigerians have been taken too much for granted. This issue that we just talked about is a clear case of allowing the populace begin to hazard guesses. Who is doing this and who is doing this? That information flow, there is a serious information gap in the flow.
Right, as we wrap up, before we wrap up, I would like to take you back to the earlier discourse we had as regards Matthew's confession, saying he was part of the rigging process, he was in charge, and also looking at T.Y. Danjuma's statement and the military saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and probe it. If you look at these 2 statements, would you say Nigeria, the political parties, the stakeholders are not serious-minded if they could go ahead? I want to probe Danjuma's statement, but do not find it necessary to ask Mantu more details of the rigging patterns they've been involved in.
The Senator Ibrahim Mantu is somebody I respect so much. The statement the former Deputy Senate President made could be restitutive. He says he wants to make up with his dog, clear his conscience.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, the Nigerian political system is what Senator Matu said could be used to describe the way elections are won in this country. The fact that he opened his mouth to say it, I think we should respect him. Then, too, if you look at what INEC said, and if you look at what the police said, and if you look at the law, INEC can prosecute. But INEC cannot arrest or investigate. If you go to section 146, 149 and 150 of the Electoral Act, it gives INEC the power to prosecute electoral infractions.
Okay.
But if you look at what the police is supposed to do, the police is supposed to act on the prompting of INEC.
Okay.
The police can't just go at Senator Matu and say, you made a statement.
So why is, do you think there's a conspiracy? That's why INEC is
no, there is no conspiracy. If you go to the Bible, I remember when the adulterous woman was being stoned, Christ asked, let he that had no sin cast the first stone. And I'm sure everybody dropped the stone and they took a walk and the woman was free. Which of the political parties, as of today, will say results are unwritten? Will say they don't compromise INEC within their environment? What Matthew has just said is, as I want to go to God and I want to go with a clean heart.
Do you think that he knows, he's aware of this, that they don't have a clean hand, so definitely cannot throw stones at him, and so he decided to use the part of plays a major role?
The height, the political height that Senator Ibrahim Matu has attained is not just for every mean Nigerian. He knows what he's saying. He knows what he's saying. There is no election in this country that you say the actors have not tried in one way or the other to compromise the system. There is no way. Let whoever stand up, put his hand on the Quran and the Bible and swear. What he has just done is just expressed his mind to free his mind of a moral burden he's been.
But should that make us not probe him for that, and if possible prosecute him?
I just said the hiccup,
the Bible
no, not even the Bible analysis. The constraints.
Okay.
With what the law says. INEC and police, they have to go. But the two of them have to work together. And the senator that has spoken, I'm sure before he made that statement, he knows virtually nothing will come out of it. He spoke the truth.
But is that going to help our democracy or not? The fact that people could come out and say this and we just let them be because they are elder statesmen or because we think they're trying to be good with their God?
No. To be frank, I think such confessions will help our democracy. It will help our democracy.
Will that us probing further?
You don't even have to prove further. What he has said is a lesson for the man in charge of our electoral system, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. I think he should look inwards. What Mantu was talking about did not even happen when he was in government, when he was in office. But he should look at the quality and the caliber and the integrity of those he's putting on the field to manage our elections. Most of these things fall back to integrity. Then to whoever is in charge of security, also looking at how much they can do within their own system to reduce the corruption that happens on election day. Because the corruption that we talk about today, it's not only financial. It starts from the electoral process, whereby you know that a man you are electing or you are being forced or you are being paid, for you to pay me to vote for you is an electoral fraud. And because I am hungry, I'm not eating for like 2 days and I'm stepping out to an election, they're giving me 3,000 that can feed me for another 2 days. Who cares what you're doing with your 4 years mandate? I will thumbprint for you for 3,000 and I'll walk away. I'll eat for 2 days, and I know I will never have any business with you anymore. Because the closest I'll get to is to stand by the street when you drive past in Siren. It is only within that 2-3 hours of the feed that the average Nigerian always thinks that this is my turn to get out of it. To get out. So they go to the field with enough money. So it's only the police. This is just, it's an issue that the police and INEC should sit down and let's look at how we can reduce this infraction. Because it will continue. The political system has been so bastardized by the political actors that you don't think of bringing out of sponsoring visible and popular candidates, but those that will do your bidding, even when you know the electorate will not want that person. Take back of money. Take backs of money to the.
Are you expecting this in 2019 and also for the state elections which you'll be running for in Edo State? Can you give us a picture of if this is what's going to play out in Edo State?
No, but what I've seen, from what I've seen, not just Edo States, in Nigeria,
okay,
the awareness of the electorate is on the high.
Okay.
And with the plans that INEC are having to go towards the electronic angle, it will aid the reduction of this. It cannot completely eradicate, but reduction will come in. And I know that so long as we still talk money in Nigerian system, we still run a cash-based economy. It's not possible in America on electoral day for you to withdraw $20 million now. Where are you getting it from? But in Nigeria, 1 billion naira can be withdrawn on Friday. Bank managers even bank MDs will mop it up and bring to you for you to get back that power. So none of these things are in place. And I still feel and I believe in the Nigerian system. 2019 will be better than 2015.
All right, so on that very positive note, we are calling a wrap on the discussion. It's a big thank you to Elvis Obaseki, who will be gunning for the Edo House of Assembly spot, and we're wishing him all the best. We've been looking at probing Danjuma's comments and also looking at the confession by Ibrahim Mantu, and not forgetting the recent summon by the National Assembly of the CBN Governor, the Minister of Finance, and also the Minister of Defense to account for the whooping amount $400 million plus dollars released for the purchase of 2 helicopters by Nigeria without the approval of the National Assembly. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back after the news, we'll be wrapping up the break. Nigeria. Thank you.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. extracurricular activities, an all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child, comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, pipe-borne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria, Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria. Nigeria Air Force destroys Boko Haram's vehicles in Lake Chad. Federal government withdraws non-declaration of asset charges against civil servants. Nigerians renew interest in voter registration, and in sports, Mourinho willing to release Pogba this summer. You're on to the AM News on Television Nigeria, and I am Nten Ekbang with details. The Directorate of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force revealed that its troops has successfully destroyed some Boko Haram vehicles found in the Lake Chad region. The Force Director of Public Relations, AVM Olatokunbo Adesonya, stated in Abuja that the operations was carried out by the Air Task Force as part of Operation Lafia Dole. It revealed that the Air Force intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft had discovered Boko Haram activities with some vehicles mounted with guns moving within the location and accordingly dispatched NAF Mi-35M helicopter gunship to conduct air interdiction strikes to take out the targets. The subsequent battle damage assessment (BDA) revealed that at the end of the attack, a Boko Haram gun truck with its entire occupant was completely destroyed and engulfed in fire. The federal government on Tuesday withdrew the 2-count criminal charge it filed against the Director of Finance and Accounts in the Federal Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Ibrahim Tumsa, over his alleged failure to declare his ownership of 86 exotic cars, of which 23 of them were armored and brand new. Equally seized from the defendant were 4 houses and the quarry plant in Abuja. Special Presidential Investigation Panel on the Recovery of Public Property had received a petition that accused the defendant of complicity in acts of corruption and abuse of office. The panel alleged that Tumsa, from whom the multi-million naira assets were seized, was on a monthly salary of less than 500,000 naira and yet acquired all the assets between 2016 and 2017. The defendants had, at the last court sitting, pleaded the court to grant them a short adjournment to enable parties to explore an out-of-court settlement of the matter, which the court had obliged, but hearing could resume subsequently on the issue. The federal government, through its lawyer, Mr. Festus Kayamo, applied to withdraw the charge. Following federal government's application to withdraw the case, trial justice Nnamdi Dimgba struck out the charge while a lawyer in the prosecution team stated that federal government would refile the charge after proper and thorough investigation is conducted in the case. Still to come, more Nigerians renew interest in the registration and collection of permanent voter cards, plus more on sports, entertainment, and the foreign scene. Stay tuned.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Welcome back. Following the recent declaration of President Muhammadu Buhari of his intention to contest for the presidency in the 2019 general elections, prominent Nigerians and politicians have been reacting both in words and in action to the president's announcement. The electorate are not left out, as there appears to be a resurgence of interest in the registration and collection of permanent voters' cards. TVN's correspondent Ginika Taseobi visited some registration centers in the FCT and has more on the situation.
The president declared his intentions to contest 2019 general elections. It has been observed that there's been a huge turnout of people at registration centers to either collect their PVCs or to get registered. This development has led concerned citizens wondering if this development is a negative or a positive action by the citizens. We are going to visit the INEC office to get first-hand information about this new development and also to visit the registration centers to get the pulse of the people.
After 2 years of disappointment in Mr. President, I discovered that I need my PVC to send him out and vote another person in. Because like Fashola during their campaign in 2015, Fashola said that if the president didn't do well, I watch it live, you can vote him out. So that's what I want to do now.
It took me time yesterday to convince some of my friends for them to come here for their PVC registration. And I brought up to 5 people this morning.
Yeah, the process is very cumbersome, but just as it has been, if you have patience to wait, you will get it.
Provided you're a citizen of the country, you're eligible to vote. So it mustn't be that since the president declared, that is the reason why people are coming for PVC.
I'd like to say that the collection of PVCs, which you've just talked about, for us here in the Commission, that's really the sole point of this continuous voter registration exercise. I'd like to give you data here. The first quarter of the CVR began on January the 8th, 2018, and then ended on the 22nd of March. And when that exercise ended, we only had an abysmally low collection rate of just 3,118 people collecting their PVCs. And that was out of the over 250,000 uncollected PVCs spanning 2011, 2014, and 2016 registration exercises here in the Federal Capital Territory. So that gives you a balance of 246,882. That is very high. We've not noticed the upsurge that you're talking about, and I'm talking from the angle of statistics.
With less than 600 days to the general elections, one will say that the future of Nigeria lies in the hands of the electorate. The big question is, will our votes count? Guinea Kachita Siobi, TVN News.
On the foreign scene, Russia says the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons will be given access to an alleged chemical attack site in Syria on Wednesday. Experts arrived in Damascus on Saturday but have been unable to visit the nearby town of Douma due to security issues cited by Russia. U.S. officials have raised concerns that Russia, the Syrian government's ally, might have tampered with the site. Opposition activists, medical organizations, and rescue workers say more than 40 people were killed when aircraft dropped barrel bombs filled with toxic chemicals on the town while it was still held by rebel forces. The US, the UK, and France say that based on open source of information and their own intelligence, they are confident chlorine and possibly enough agent were used in the attack. Into some entertainment now. Tanzanian singer and dancer Diamond Platnumz has been arrested by Tanzanian authorities for sharing obscene videos on social media. The 28-year-old Tanzanian singer and dancer, who has won numerous awards at Channel O and the Hip Hop Music Awards, also shared videos showing the mother of his child alongside an obscene video of him kissing and caressing an unidentified woman, allegedly to spite his ex-girlfriend, Sari Hassan. Tanzanian Minister of Communication Harrison Mwakyembe confirmed the arrest while speaking in Parliament on Tuesday and denounced the attitude of celebrities who seek cheap popularity by posting obscenities on social media.
Nigerians have tested political parties, religion and age. It is time to get a bridge builder to heal the wounds. Hassan Dan Kwambo. Under your watch as Executive Governor of Gombe State, you have been able to manage the state's resources in view of the numerous projects so far completed and the low statutory federal allocations accruable to the state. With your landmark achievements in healthcare, youth employment, women empowerment, road infrastructure, airborne water, security, education and agricultural development, we are sure of a better Nigeria. 2019 is not about power or change, but rather it is about Dan Kwambo to replicate his humility and servant leadership. Dan Kwambo, Nigeria, Dan Kwambo.
All right, welcome back from the news desk. Now you're well informed about all the happenings right here in Nigeria. Still Daybreak Nigeria, Africa's finest breakfast show. We've got into the segment where we look at the big stories making the rounds on Nigeria's national days. We've got the Daily Sun, we've got the Punch newspaper, the Daily Trust, Sporting Life, Nigerian Tribune, and Daily Trust for review. Kickstart the review with our guest who is in the studio, Dr. Mutula, who is a senior lecturer of the Department of Political Science and International Relations right here in the University of Abuja. Good morning, nice to have you join us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
All right, let's kickstart the review with the Punch newspaper. The big story is there on page 3 says rescue Chibok girls, Leah before 2019, reps tell Buhari. And we've got Falaye visits Obasanjo says Buhari has failed. That big story is on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. We've got women shot National Assembly to help Buhari end killings, says Ikwe Madu. Find details on page 2 and 23 of the Punch newspaper. And we've got Theresa May ask Nigeria others to revoke anti-sex sex laws. Page 7 is where you get the details of that big story. Looking at other stories, but let's start with the reps telling Mr. President to make sure he rescues the Chibok girls and Leah Sharibu before 2019 elections. As a political analyst, how do you see that comment? Is that a threat or probably a guideline for Mr. President?
Actually, when you look at all the conflicted narratives that surround the abduction of the adopted girl, you will agree with me that everything that has to do with this abduction has actually been politicized by both the incumbent government, I'm talking about the APC-led federal government, and the opposition party PDP. What's important is that Buhari is not really threatening the president, but rather trying to make him to understand how important, how significant is it for that particular girl, Ms. Shaibu, to be rescued before 2019 election. Because probably she may actually be one of the political jokers that he will use to convince the electorate that all the adopted girls that were abducted were being rescued. So it's a political point that he wanted to score by rescuing this particular girl.
All right, let's look at the other big story on page 12. Says Falaye did visit Obasanjo and he came out spitting fire, saying Buhari has failed. And we had the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity talking about Sugar, came out on national TV to say Falaye has joined the other group of Nigerians calling for the president not to run. Is that the best way to look at that comment?
Actually, I disagree with Femi Adesina on that. Garbashew, sorry. As regard to his response to Olufalaye. Falaye is known to be a very responsible elder statesman in Nigerian politics, and whatever elders have seen, it will take a long time for a young man to seal it. It's an African adage. What I expected Garbashew to say is that once Falaye has recognized the fact that the government has failed, but he should be able to enumerate which areas the government needs to improve on in order to achieve some of these electionary campaigns manifestos that he promised Nigerians before he was elected in 2015. So it's not just to make a blanket statement that the government has failed. In which area and how do you want the government to improve? You know, that is what is expected of an elder. So I expected Garbaso to respond in such manner that in which way, in which sectors have you failed, and what do you expect us to do in this aspect of economy and the rest that you have identified to be a failure. So this is what we call a very robust engagement with elder statesmen.
Okay. But looking at the Women Short National Assembly to help Buhari end killings, that's what Ekweremadu is saying. Is he being sarcastic?
That's a flamboyant statement for Ekweremadu to utter such. Anyway, if you look at the rates of killings going on in the country today, it's very worrisome, very disheartening. For the fact that the spate of insecurity that is coming up in different dimensions is something that the federal government needs to respond to in a very proactive manner. There's no doubt about the fact that federal government is doing its best, but its best is not being appreciated by Nigerians due to the incessant killings of innocent Nigerians. So I'm expecting the president to do everything possible to end this killing once and for all. Nigerians are tired. It is very, very disastrous for you to hear that your relative has been killed, your relative has been kidnapped, a certain amount of money is being requested for as ransom, and so on and so forth. These kidnapping, killings, and avalanche of violence is actually disturbing and traumatizing Nigerians. The federal government needs to do everything possible to curb this killing. So it is not by uttering the flamboyant statements or trying to be sarcastic in finding a solution to conflict we have in this country. I'm expecting the National Assembly as a legislative body to do everything possible and come up with enactment that will assist the current government on how to come up with national security policy to deal with all these crises.
Last story we were taking on the Punch newspaper says Theresa May asked Nigeria and others to revoke anti-same-sex marriage. Should we listen to Theresa May when it comes to
I wouldn't say what exactly the Great Britain is after for them to be emphasizing on this same-sex marriage. But knowing the Theresa May, know the British culture and everything they do there is out of their own volition. That is the opinion of Theresa May, and that is the position of British government. It is completely antithetical to our culture. Same-sex marriage is something that is aberration in our society. No amount of economic materials or economic benefit would definitely lay on Nigerian government, not even at this period, into this kind of policy. But one thing I want the Britain to understand is that Nigeria as a sovereign nation has the inalienable right to govern itself, to determine what is best for her as a nation. So it is not expected of Theresa May or any world leader to impose whatever that is going on in their own country into ours. We have different environments. Nigeria is a religious society. The Nigerians are very religious, and freedom of religion is also allowed. It's constitutionally allowed. It's one of those things that 1945 Atlantic Charter of UN approved. So based on this, it is not expected of Theresa May or any world leader to keep on re-echoing the issue of homosexuality in various African countries.
Right, let's go to the next paper.
All right, we have the Daily Sun this morning, and the big story here says spate of killings, senators demand service chiefs sack. And the writer here says our Senate sends 10 on restriction, 11 other bills to President for assent. And on page 2 of the Daily Sun, we have IMF warns Nigeria over foreign debt. And Falaye Buhari, don't contest, you have failed. You have only one vote, replies APC. Wike blames federal government for soot pollution in rivers. That is on page 40. And on page 42, angry IDPs stone Nasarawa governor. Also, we have a story, Tinubu opposes the supremacy of party leaders. You will find that story on page 42. Okay, I would like to talk about the spate of Kele Senators' demand chief sack. Do you think that this is a good move?
No. That shouldn't be the solution to current space of insecurity in Nigeria. Having understood the fact that when Buhari came on board in the first year of his administration, he did all he could to ensure that encourage the service chief to ensure that Boko Haram's insurgency is being technically degraded, even not because of the recent attack that we see from Boko Haram insurgents. We would have said that Boko Haram has been defeated in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the security personnel have been doing their best and they need our encouragement. It is not ideal for an individual Nigerian who is very patriotic about the Nigerian project to call for their sack. So what we need to do is to assist them, trying to make sure that we prescribe unconventional methodology on how to tackle this crisis. And as a matter of fact, they also need to ensure that citizen participation in security issue is also very important because it's a collective responsibility and we must all join hands together and ensure that this security will achieve their aims of combating crisis in Nigeria. It's not to call for their side. This is not acceptable.
Oh, okay. So the IMF wants Nigeria over foreign debts. Do you think that is a good one?
If you look at the way the manner things are going, just yesterday or thereabouts, IMF also warned Nigeria about the impending oil price crash in the international market and advised Nigerian and other dependent, those countries that are oil-dependent countries, to diversify their economy. This is what we have been saying for a very long time, and I think it is high time the government needs to do something about this issue of diversification, so that it won't just be a talk show. Presently, the current government is doing everything possible to ensure that agriculture is being developed and transformed through this diversification. I think it's a good thing by the current government, and they need to also work harder. Then talking about the issue of loan, this is becoming embarrassing to Nigeria as a nation. Every time, if we want to do anything developmental, we do go for loan. If we want to combat insecurity in our country, we go and borrow. This is embarrassing. I think Nigeria needs to do everything possible to ensure that we look inward, we discover our renaissance, and try as much as possible to reduce this borrowing. Otherwise, it's going to create problem for the posterity if we don't do something very significant now to cut the loans. So I'm advising the federal government that everything is not about loan. Jonathan borrowed huge amount of money. What have we gained from such? Now we are going for another one. So I want to advise that something needs to be done to reduce our borrowing so that we will not continue to create problem for posterity.
All right, let's go to the Daily Trust now. The big story is there on page 6 says Fela visits Obasanjo 6 collective effort to unseat Buhari. We've got IMF forecasts low oil price in 2019. Find details on page 17 of the Daily Trust. We've got federal government $462 million payment on helicopters illegal, says the Nigerian Senate, summons finance defense ministers. And we've got APC holds national convention May 14th. Finally, the APC going to have decided to hold their convention, and May 14th is the date. What are your expectations?
I'm not expecting much from APC convention, knowing fully well that this is long overdue, and they have been postponing it until they later realize that they are operating the party in a very unconstitutional manner. So I don't think we should expect any surprise on that day. And
even with the extension of the tenure issue they're having.
No. The issue of extension has actually been ironed out as a result of all this nocturnal meeting that took place by the APC National Working Committee. So the issue now is the incumbents have been given the opportunity to continue holding their offices pending the time they will organize the convention, which means that there is every possibility that these office holders will come back, except with the chairman of the party. That office is vacant now, and I could see that some politicians have started jostling for that position. So I'm not expecting much from APC convention. It's just a business as usual.
All right, let's go to the Nation's newspaper for review.
Still Nation newspaper here. Killings sack service chiefs now. Senators tell Buhari, and that is you find that story on page 42. Sorry, on page 6. Continue of the Nation, and of course we have the rider here. Del Tools hits 70 in Nasarawa. Troops kill 4 suspected headsmen in Benue. And aside, we have 7.2 million PVCs uncollected, says INEC. And on page 40, APC convention for May 14. That is on page 3. Nigeria's economy to grow by 2.1%, says IMF. And also Secondus, I didn't collect money. You find that story on page 6. Bank reports George to NJC over verdict. That is on page 9. And on page 47, Iwobi, Moses are Eagles' deadly players. On page 2 and 3, we have Tinubu, party supremacy for its sake is nothing. I would just like you to talk on Secondus, but it says I didn't collect money. Secondus seems to be on the news recently.
Yes, because of the allegation level against him as one of the prominent names we found in the looters list. I'm not expecting Secondus to start responding on pages of a newspaper. He should go to court, and I learned that he has gone to court, and let the court decide whether he had collected or not. And I believe if the federal government doesn't have the unassailable fact about all these looters, I don't think it will be good of federal government to release their names. So I believe they have the fact. So let them present the fact at the court, and let's see what the court will say about it. So it's not about responding or trying to defend yourself on the pages of newspaper. So we shouldn't make it a mere trial. Let them go to court and let the court decide on whether he collected the money or not.
Okay, behind the Nation here we have the sex for mark as a metaphor. We've had recently the case of the lecturer who had issue of sex. The case is still on sex for mark. You being a lecturer, senior lecturer. From your angle, what do you have to say about this particular embarrassment?
Do you think the probe is going to be truly honest? Wouldn't you lecturers want to cover your fellow member?
No. You see, the issue of esprit de corps is not applicable to academia, in the sense that anybody who has committed an offense should be allowed to dance to the tune. Okay. And that's exactly what I'm expecting from the management of Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU. And to the best of my knowledge, they have started doing something very interesting about it. The committee has been set up, and a week ultimatum has been given to the committee to investigate and come up with a report. Having said this, I want to educate Nigerians about the role in our university system. It is very disheartening to realize that the level of education in Nigeria is dwindling on a daily basis, and due to the insensitivity of the government and, of course, the management of the university. Today, we found out that there are so many students who are not supposed to be in the universities. They find themselves in the university through all sorts of means.
Can we say the same for lecturers?
I'm coming. It's a systemic problem. Okay. It's actually a systemic problem. That's when I say I'm coming. Let's start from the field of the students. Okay. For the fact that they are not eligible to be admitted into the university due to their poor academic performance. Okay. So when they go to the university, they start exhibiting all sorts of idiosyncrasies. Some lure the lecturers through their body, some is through sorting. by giving the lecturers money. You know, when you look at all this, you realize that if the student is capable and believes in himself, he will not do anything funny rather than to face the study scaling, and he will be given whatever he deserved. Okay. Unfortunately, what we have in our society today is quite different from what we were having in those days. And that's also applicable to the academic staff. There are so many of our colleagues that they are not expected to be in the academic environment. In terms of moral, they are morally bankrupt. In terms of being glutonist, they can do anything just because of money. And there are some that they are not even expected to be known as part of intelligentsia. So this particular professor might be one of them, but we shouldn't just rush into judgment. Let the committee conclude its report and let us know what their finding is. But I want to say it again, the issue of moral decadence in our universities and our educational system, we must do something about it. I want to use the opportunity to talk to all our religious leaders. Let us go by the religious teachings. As Muslims, as Christians, our religions actually preach morality. And let us go by it in everything we do in our society. That's the best way we can have a best society.
All right, to wrap it up, we'll go straight to the Sporting Sun. The big stories in the Sporting Sun says Aguero undergoes knee surgery. Big stories on page 2 of the Sporting Sun, and we've got Mourinho set to sack Pogba is on the back page, and we've got Joshua wants wider face-to-face, talking about the Nigerian British-born boxer, and we've got Iwobi Moses are deadly, says Emmanuel Amunike, ex-Super Eagles striker. We've got the last story here, which is of interest. We've got Arsenal considers Wenger's sack. Do you think Arsenal is ever going to sack Arsene Wenger?
I think with this calling of Wenger's sack from different angles, it's becoming so prominent. And unfortunately for Wenger too, he's losing match every week. So this is very terrible for him. And if care is not taken, the Arsenal management will definitely go by the request of Arsenal fans. So we can say that Wenger is already on his way out of Arsenal. And if you look at Wenger as Arsenal manager, he had done beautifully well. And it's good for him to leave for the fact that he has overstayed in that club. So let's try in new hands, even though I'm not an Arsenal fan. But I think Arsenal deserve a better manager than Wenger at this particular period of time.
Do you think Mourinho should sell Pogba?
What is he waiting for? If you look at each amount of money spent on Pogba, 89 million pounds, and when you look at his output, you realize that he doesn't even commensurate, he doesn't even meet up with the expectation. I don't know whether he needs 3, 4, 5 years to acclimatize in the Premier League, but the issue is Pogba needs to improve his game because it's a disappointment to many of his fans.
All right,
the last paper here is the blueprint, and the big story here on page 6 is reps want explanation on that $460 million U.S. arms deal. And the writer here says 1.4 trillion fuel subsidy too, and sack security chiefs over killings, senators tell Buhari. Health workers demands strike envy driven. This is coming from the NMA. It is on page 5. Senate seeks Buhari's assent for state legislatures financial autonomy, and 11 others. This is on page 6, and someone's Adeosun Emefiele over $462 million withdrawal. Reps furious over estimated electricity billing, and 3 cups of tea, coffee per day, good for heart. This is a study that you want to definitely look into. That is on page 15. And Lassa fever, 1 isolated, 102 under observation in Adamawa. That is on page 7. IDPs held Nassau governor's convoy. That is on page 14. And page 33, the U.S. office lost NDIC over academy. A lot of interesting stories. On page 6, you will see a story here. 2019, Buhari names Keyamo campaign spokesman. Let's start from there. Buhari announcing that Keyamo as his campaign spokesman. When you heard this, what was like into your mind?
My instinct told me sometimes last week. When you look at the statements coming from Keyamo, you realize that here is someone that is actually romancing with the federal government. So when I listened to the news this morning and heard about this appointment, I wasn't surprised. I just laughed about it that this is something that I'm expecting. You know, some of our Nigerian analysts, whenever they are looking for appointment from the government, you will see their empirical analysis being geared towards the federal government simply because of what they are looking for. And I see Keyamo to have achieved his aim. So this is something that he has been struggling to get all this while. So I congratulate him and I wish him best of luck in this onerous duty of projecting the image of the president. Why not? Keyamo is a very vocal and eloquent person.
We're not talking court cases now, we're talking branding.
Of course.
You say he'll be good in that aspect.
Of course. If you understand the antecedent of Keyamo all this while, you know that he's an image projector and he's someone that is good to have him as one's spokesperson. So being appointed in this position, I don't expect any failure from him. I'm expecting him to reprimand the president and try as much as possible to make it sellable to Nigerians, particularly to the south, southwest, and southeast, where he doesn't have a multitude of supporters.
Don't you think this is going to be a tough tax on Keyamo? Because given the activities, what's happening, it's going to be really difficult for someone to sell the image of the president.
Why is it going to be difficult? Currently, Buhari is the most popular politician in Nigeria. There's no doubt about it. Whether it is not in the West or anywhere in this country, is the most popular politician in Nigeria. He's a man that, in spite of his smart performance in economy, people still love him. We still have people who are ready to die for him. So what I say in essence is that in some areas, in some regions like Southeast, South, and Southwest, where it needs to be reprojected, that is where Keyamo needs to work harder and try as much as possible to make it sellable in this part of the country. So I don't see Keyamo having major difficulty in discharging his responsibility, knowing fully well that he is a man of integrity that everybody loves.
All right, so that's how we'll be calling the wrap on the newspaper review segment. We've looked at all the big stories making the rounds. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Mutila, who is a senior lecturer with the Political Science and International Relations of the University of Abuja, right here in Nigeria. I want to say thank you very much for your very sound analysis.
It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, this is how we call it a wrap on Africa's finest breakfast show, Daybreak Nigeria, on television Nigerian. My name is Anthony Momolu, saying thank you for being with us from the start until this very moment. Special thank you to the entire production team, from Philip to Noel to Josh, and also Donna and our program manager in turn for putting hands together to make sure this production came out awesome. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. And last words from Queen.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Television Nigeria, and Facebook, Television Nigeria, on Twitter, and of course Instagram at TV Nigeria. In everything you do, don't forget that life is very, very sweet, so don't waste it. And if you must climb the ladder of success, you have to remove your hands from your pocket. My name is Cynthia, but you have yourself a wonderful day.